Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Happy Monday. It's Rebecca Thompson here from BEEcon Programs for Women. And we've been doing a little bit of a video series, like an interview series. And today I am thrilled to have Natalie Shave with us. She's been working with me for a couple of years now before our current BEEcon community. And during the quite near the start, I think, of our current BEEcon community. And I want to share a little bit about why we're doing these interviews. Because there's a lot out there, right? There's a lot out there, and it can be really challenging as someone who's on a personal development path or on a leadership path to really be able to discern what is a path that you want to follow and what is going to sort of be a good fit. We're not saying that this work is going to be a good fit for everyone, but by sharing the real life stories of these beautiful women that are part of our community, we want to inspire hope that you too can change. Because I know one of the stories that goes in the mind, because women have told me, and it's been there in my own mind at different times, is that other people can change, but I can't. That somehow there's something special or magical about other women, and they can do all of this stuff, and yet our own particular situation or our own mind or our own obstacles or limitations somehow precludes us from having that same success. And I am here to say to you, and these interviews are here to share with you that that's just not the case. And one of the things I absolutely love about our BEEcons and the program and the community of women is how varied each woman is, in different backgrounds, right? Different stories, different ages, right? And yet there's a common thread. And the common thread is a desire to feel like you are on your sacred mission, to feel like you are fulfilled. And with that, not to feel like it's so damn hard to be living this life. It is very much around how to embody our own divinity. Not every woman starts with that as their desire, that kind of languaging, but there's a sort of sense of disillusionment or some kind of pain that triggers this desire to show up differently, and a deep knowing that there is a divine magic, right? That there is something else other than what we can perhaps see with our eyes, perhaps that we have been trained to believe about the world, that there is something greater than that. So I'm just checking my screen here. And so that is our hope here, and my prayer and desire by sharing these incredible stories with the women that I have an absolute pleasure and feel very, very blessed to walk beside. And it is that, it's very much walking beside each other, and they in so many ways support me as much as I perhaps support them. And so with that, let's move over and say a huge hello to Natalie. Just share with us, because I will get it wrong. I know that you're near Wagga, but I always get the name of the place wrong. Just share with us, Natalie, where you are streaming from this morning.
Streaming from a small town called Coolaman, 20 minutes outside Wagga Wagga, which is central New South Wales.
Yeah, and we'll talk a little bit about why you're there in a moment, because Natalie used to live very close to me on Bribie Island. And when was the first time we met was on a retreat before the BEEcons came to be.
Yeah.
You had a very special thing happening with you, didn't you? Let's just share a little bit about that, because we love the how we met stories, don't we?
I know. Yeah, I love it. My mum knows you through Bribie Island and yoga, and I loved yoga, and I was 6 months pregnant with my first. And so mum said, I love Rebecca, let's do this yoga retreat, sort of meditation, self-help, beautiful 3-day retreat. As like a baby moon present. And we did it together, mother and daughter. And that's when I first met you, before all of this. Yeah, when I was pregnant. It was great.
And that was so, I remember this was the first time I'd worked with someone that was pregnant, and all of my work, as many of you know, and Natalie maybe didn't know, but she found out at the retreat, is very womb centric, you know, the womb being the part of our body where we get to really connect to source and to our own inner creatrix. And so it was an absolute delight to not only have Natalie there with her mom and, you know, have that ancestral line. I think they had 2 mother-daughter combos that retreat.
Oh, I don't remember. I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. but also to have Natalie with what we didn't probably know at that time, but your own daughter in your beautiful womb. And since then, we've got to work with Natalie with her second little girl in her womb. So both beautiful babies have been born into the BEEcon world and had so much love and nourishment and care through your womb. So,
yeah, they got all the good juices, and I felt them kicking back the whole time. It was so surreal.
So amazing. Oh, so blessed. So let's start then. What propelled you to go deeper into that journey? Because that was sort of like a beautiful invitation from your mom where you were pregnant and it was just all yummy. And then obviously deciding to join us in our year mastery was a whole new cup of tea. But let's just go to before that as what was going on in your world, because, you know, you're a young mom, both your kids are still quite young.
Yes.
And I know a lot of women, you know, watching this potentially now can relate to you in a whole different way that they might someone else, because you're doing it. You're the working mom, or you're juggling different worlds. And that's a very particular scenario.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
On the surface, everything was great. You know, I'm being a new mom. I lived at Bribie at the time, so near the beach. I have a kind, supportive husband, but definitely underneath, I was struggling. So many stories running through my head, and it was such a cycle of highs and lows. And it felt so frustrating and upsetting, but then I'd come out the other side and I'd be okay again. It was just this constant cycle.
And what were the stories? What were the kind of...
The stories always felt so justified. It felt like I'm feeling like this because I'm tired, or I'm feeling like this because the baby's sick, or my husband's done something, or I'll feel happy when I live here. I'll feel better when I'm doing this, or this changes. It was always an external issue or story, and I never was able to go like underneath all of that and really feel anything.
Yeah, and I think that's such an important thing to really pull out. What I really heard then, and what really landed, because I know that so many of us do it, is that we just feel justified. We feel justified in feeling that way. And not only justified, but well, life's just like that, right? And it's one of the biggest things that can hijack us and stop us from moving forward, because you just go, well, life's just like that. Yeah, I'm feeling this because of this, and unless this thing changes, I can't feel any better. So that's how it is, and it's everything else's fault. And like you say, when this changes, or you change, or my situation changes, maybe I'll feel better. And yeah, what did you come to realize then?
Yeah, it was absolutely that. And I remember one morning waking up and something triggered me. It was frustrating. And I remember saying to myself, I am so sick of myself. I'm so sick of this. This can't possibly be the rest of my life every day. It couldn't possibly be this high and low all the time.
Yeah.
And I remember listening to a podcast, like being drawn to listen to a podcast like Eckhart Tolle, and feeling so connected and light in that moment of listening to the podcast. And then I'd go back to everyday life and that feeling would go away. And so it was like, and then recognizing sort of the stories, like, or the voice in my head. And I called her Mean Girl. I was like, thanks, Mean Girl. And it all sort of started with that little moment, you know, and it bubbled away from there, and then you showed up.
And that little moment, I love it. That little moment makes us realize, doesn't it, that, well, if I can feel that different in a moment, then it's just about how do I bring that moment into every moment, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because nothing in our circumstances changed apart from you being in the moment.
Yeah, I did so many things that I thought was helping myself. Like, I did take time to see friends and family. I did look after myself. I did do some yoga and do the occasional massage. And I thought I was doing all the right things that would make me feel better. And then, within the next day or so, I'd revert back. So it was when I had that moment during those podcasts, I was like, this feels really good. Oh. There's something in this. It's not just a quick fix, you know.
Yeah, and that's gold. I think we did a little I can't remember if it's a post for the BEEcons or just here on Facebook land a little while ago about that difference, around the difference between like what we classes like self-care and doing nice things and really self-care,
Yes.
capital S. Like you
Yeah.
say, taking time for yourself, having a massage. These are all great things, but it is just a sticky plaster over the whatever's going on, unless we're really connecting in with self, which is the experience that you had on that podcast. Yeah. What a great highlight. Yeah. Love that. Oh, love that. And if anyone has any comments, often when we're doing a streaming like this, we was streaming from Zoom over to Facebook Live. It's just before a lot of people are going to be starting their working day. So we don't always see the chat coming up. So if you are popping a chat on, please know that we are not ignoring you, and I will always check all the stream and the chat afterwards. And if you have any comments about this, you're like, oh my goodness, yes, I totally get it, let us know, because it's in that shared communion of our difficulties in our humanness that we really get to come into the shared prayer of connecting with self and source and bringing heaven on earth. So do pop your comments below, and we will check them afterwards. So can you speak for a moment about perfection? Because we talked about this a little bit before. We've put it in the title around, how to overcome perfection. And it's overcoming that mental projection around perfection that helps us to really take the steps and the leaps that we need when we're looking at starting to say yes to ourselves.
Yeah, absolutely. Perfection. I had really high expectations on myself. So any time I wanted to try something new, I really wanted to have every single step laid out before even starting. And I wanted to know exactly what it looked like. I wanted to control every sort of step of the way. Even in life, I wanted to control calmness and have everything organized in place so there was essentially calm, and nothing can ever be controlled or perfect. And with this work, releasing and letting go of perfection, being kinder to myself and sort of trusting the journey has definitely opened up so many possibilities and opportunities. So that was sort of my life around perfection, always wanting to control, I guess, outcomes, situations and scenarios.
Oh, yeah. And I can so relate. And I know so many people will, that was definitely part of my story and learning to surrender. Because when we, try and control everything, it really puts a cap on the limits, doesn't it, of what we can
so true.
Because nothing's going to live up to that.
And it's exhausting because it never is control and calm. Things happen. So it was very exhausting and tiring. And then you get frustrated with yourself and that wonderful cycle happens again.
And especially when you've got little kids and you're in a relationship and you're both working, because at that time you were working as an accountant. You're still doing some work as an accountant?
Yes, I have my own bookkeeping business and do accounting work as well. That in itself took a lot of work for me to let go and it not be perfect of what it all looks like. But my husband and I both had office jobs at the time when this whole journey started, and had that security and everything like that.
And we're going to talk a bit about the exciting developments that have happened since that. But let's just jump into the journey and what the journey's been like for you. So when we kind of met for the second time, because there was a bit of a pause, obviously you had your bub and you were all consumed with that emerging motherhood. Which tends to then highlight, of course, if anyone that's had children knows that it's one of the biggest personal development journeys you can have in your whole life. And so tell me a little bit about that point that we met, and that what I call like the turning point, that something gets kind of heightened enough in your world that it highlights that if I don't do something about this, I don't want to live the rest of my life like that. And you made that leap, because that's often a challenge for people, whether it's time, money, the mind thinks you just can't change, it's not worth it, all of those things. Like, how did you navigate that when we met for that second time?
Aside from getting sick of myself, when I did touch on that work, I didn't realize how resistant I was to really connecting in with myself. And I had such a strong flight response that when I did close my eyes to connect inwards, physically my eyes like struggled to stay closed. And really recognizing that in myself and wanting to not run away, not have that flight response anymore, and knowing I am worth it. And as nervous and scary as it is, stopping that flight response, stopping that resistance, being vulnerable and sharing was such a challenge, and still is. It's still like something I'm working on, but I knew at that point that this is going to be fantastic once I really go in and start letting go of those barriers, you know?
Yeah. So like at that first time, 'cause I think, did you come to a half day, like one of our half day events again?
I went to a half day, absolutely. Yeah. When I was sick of myself and you popped up and I was like, this half day looks fantastic. Straight away, I signed up. Yeah. Straight away. But it wasn't an easy decision. It took about a month to decide and had to really go within and recognize like all the stories about why I shouldn't do it, and just know that I am worth it. Obviously, I had to talk to my husband about it, and I didn't feel like it was the right thing to do having like a young child at the time, and it just felt like selfish. It was all these stories of like putting myself down, but like I said, I really did actually end up landing on the decision when it was like, can I live with what if? Can I live with what I know what now looks like? And I've been doing now for a really long time. Yeah. So if I don't give it a go, can I live with what if?
I'm writing that down because I just got goosebumps as she said that. Can I live with what if? Everyone, just if you're watching this, hello, Amanda. We've got beautiful Amanda joining us, Amanda Mooney, one of our beautiful beacons. Oh my goodness, can I live with what if? What if I don't, you know? Yes. Yeah. And what if I do? Yeah. I had the now. I knew the future of that now. Yeah. I knew the feeling of it all. And what if I did take that leap? What if I did let go and allow myself? And I couldn't live with the what if, so I had to do it. Yeah, I was so glad you did. And I hope you're glad you did. I'm pretty sure you are. I'm very glad I did. I wouldn't be here, actually. Yeah. That's right. Yeah. So if someone else was in that situation, because, you know, a lot of people are like, they maybe kind of got the money, but, you know, who's really got money just sitting around? So, you know, some of us have, but, you know, usually it's allocated for something else, or like you say, the mind comes up with it's selfish to spend all that on you. And maybe you've got young kids, maybe you're juggling work, all of this, partner resistance. Yeah. What would you say to somebody else now that you've gone through that? Apart from, can you live with what if? Can you live with what if? That is it. And I understand, like I see you and I hear you, and it is nervous, and there might be concern around it won't work for me, and it's going to be a waste of my time, or maybe I won't fit in. And honestly, it's an individual journey, and it's so supportive, and everyone's there for themselves. So you're worth it, and take the leap. Stop wondering what if. Yeah, exactly. And everyone's there for themselves. And yet when we come together as well, isn't it? Everyone's there for each other, but it's an individual journey, and everyone's got very different journeys. And that's what blows me away each time, is the beauty of when all of that comes together and we're just honest and open and do the work, show up, do the work. It just, it's absolutely phenomenal. The support and the community that's here in the Beacons really is life-changing. And I just feel like I've grown so much, and there's so much light now in life. So definitely worth the investment. And I felt like I could justify holidays, I could justify beauty appointments, I could justify all these other things for myself. So this is the time to really invest in yourself. So that's what really helped me make the decision. Yeah, because you're about to hear in a moment, do not go anywhere. You're about to hear now what Natalie and her beautiful husband are doing that has really emerged through this. And, you know, we have this sense that, okay, if I keep this idea of selfish is just such a personal thing, like you say, like a holiday, and yet we justify a holiday. And yet what happens when we truly allow ourselves to connect with self, capital S, through doing this work or other work, it's not just ourself that benefits, it helps us to align to our soul self. It helps us to align to our sacred mission. And that is always going to be aligned to the highest benefit of all. And so in your journey of releasing perfectionism and allowing yourself to dream and allowing yourself to feel more courageous and allowing yourself to keep your eyes closed and go in, and now learn how to do that with your eyes open in the world. Share with us what your passion was, because I actually don't know myself when that passion started, but it's obviously been building and now it's become pretty much most of your life. So share with us what happened there.
In 2019, I became a hobby beekeeper because I just loved bees. I just thought they were so interesting. But the more I learned about bees and the colony and all their different roles within the hive was so fascinating. So I just became a hobby beekeeper. Yeah. And the honey was just the perk. And the more I got into beekeeping, I became really aware of how important bees are, but not just to the environment, to farmers, and how bees provide pollination to farmers for fruit and vegetables and things like that. And it just really sparked something in me where it was like, I really want to help in this industry. I love bees so much. I love Mother Nature so much. And maybe there's something in this. And it just felt very exciting. And I could feel like little sparks inside.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. And,
yeah.
Through Natalie's BEEcon, we always make a bit of a joke about her BEEcon journey. Part of the work we do in the BEEcons is really looking at all the shadow aspects of ourselves that stop us from really feeding our desires, right? And instead we, feed our worries and our mind and our fears. But no, in this work, we really look at how we feed our desires, the truth of our desires, and what can be getting in the way of that. So this started to emerge more and more as a stronger desire and the courage and confidence to step up and follow through with all of that. And magic and miracles tend to happen when you're doing this kind of thing, right? So talk us a little through the little magic and miracles bit that started to happen in your world there. Ooh,
so much magic, so many, it's like been a path of least resistance. It's just been one step at a time of miracles. I didn't know how I would help the industry. I didn't know what it looked like, but I knew what it felt like. And I had the opportunity to meet with a commercial beekeeper in New South Wales. And just from that point onwards, we got this opportunity to come and give it a shot. But of course we didn't straight away. That would just be ridiculous, but working with the bees more and really feeling into and trusting sort of this process of what I was feeling and what I would feel in the future. And it was like I was manifesting something. And then I remember waking up one morning and I had a 4-year-old and a 4-month-old. So I'd only really just given birth. And I said to my husband, this opportunity came up, and I said, we should give it a go. Like, let's go and do commercial beekeeping, on a commercial level. And we literally packed up the house, got the kids in the car and drove 15 hours. And we've been here since February. And we're still trusting the process. And every step along the way, we have, it's like a forest covered path. And every step, a new stone gets revealed. And it's just really been like that this whole time.
Oh, it just makes me want to cry, like full of goosebumps, of like teary. Because I remember that time last year when Natty was like, my lease is up on the house, and you lived on a beautiful property, but you didn't even know where you were going to go because you're like, we love this house, we have bees here, where are we going to go? And we're just like, just trust the process. Something's happening. We could feel it. Something's happening.
Yes.
And then this opportunity came up, and you literally transitioned from that house to a house that down in
Coolabin,
with this sort of ready-made bee job.
Yes, that was all though. Like that was it.
And that's right. Giving up everything here.
Everything, office jobs. My husband and I like pretty much just left everything that was safe and comfortable, all of my family and friends, everything we knew, to come down here to the one thing, which was commercial beekeeping. Wow. But it still felt right and exciting.
Yeah. And do you feel like you would have been able to make that decision if you hadn't really been focusing on really fueling your heart's desire and surrendering and trusting and getting
Oh,
the
definitely
stuff
not.
out the way? Yeah.
Definitely not. No way. I would have woken up that morning and gone, oh yeah, I want to go, but I'm not going to do that. We shouldn't do
Yeah.
that. And my head definitely would have kicked in and said, what about this? You can't do this. You can't leave a office job. You can't leave the security. And it would never have happened because my head definitely would have got involved. But surrendering down and really feeling into it in my body, I would never have done that in the past. And I trusted it.
And we are so glad you did, because this
Mhm.
little thing of the bees, it's like saving the planet, you know, like it's that big, isn't it? It's just,
Yeah, they
oh,
are very special and they surprise us every day. I mean, there's such adorable bees, and watching a bee for the first time take its first flight from that beehive, there's nothing cuter. You can see their nervousness. You see they've still got a little bit of fluff on their body, and they walk to the edge of the hive, and sometimes they get pushed out by accident and off they fly. And you just think, gosh, it's just so nice to be involved in bees and how they help nature. It's very fulfilling.
yeah. I mean, without them, we've got nothing to eat.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
literally,
Yeah, I think it's 4 years of no bees, we wouldn't have any food.
really 4 years of no bees, we'd have no food.
Yeah.
Wow. So we owe a lot to you, Natalie. And it's exciting because we won't mention names, but if you're watching this, beautiful soul, you know who you are. We have another beacon about to embark in the bee journey. So I just, my heart is just so full. Like I'm literally bursting in my cells with, you know, feeling the joy of the level of showing up, you know, that so many of our beacons are stepping into, that doesn't feel pushed or pressurized. It's just following the juice and the joy of what you naturally feel passionate about and allowing yourself to really step into that in such a powerful way. And so much love to your beautiful husband Joel, who has fully embraced it and sort of more in it a little bit now in a hands-on perspective than you are, because obviously you've got your two little ones at home, and I know you're doing a lot of the planning. So there's been, tell us a little bit about the challenges and how you've navigated that with your level of presence that you now have.
Oh, it was hard because I couldn't physically do the heavy lifting. I was still healing, and my husband was the one out there with the bees doing the heavy lifting while I was at home with the kids and doing all sort of the behind the scenes work and not getting the satisfaction of being with the bees. And you know, it did hurt. You know, it was like this, all these new challenges have come up living here with the isolation and this new life that we have. But with the beacon work, I definitely can then recognize a story that's trying to bring me down and observe it, sit back and observe it, feel into my body more than really let that story take hold and upset me and take me down a rabbit hole. And when I do pause and really feel into what my purpose is right now in the next 6 months or the next year, is to be that amazing mother, is to be that rock within the household, is to be that connection between our bees and the world, and making contacts and meeting farmers. That feels right. Also, I'm going to be making queens soon, so I'll be the queen bee, and that's great.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Oh, my darling. And just hearing you speak, like knowing, having been on this journey with you, hearing you, just seeing you shine. I said to you this morning, oh my gosh, you're so radiant, and hearing you speak with such confidence and such passion, and knowing everything that you've been through, because it's so important for people to hear this message. Because, you know, you can have a desire and just keep it as a background desire, and Natalie could have just, you know, moved to another house and kept hobbying away and kept accounting away, you know, with the bees. And yet, so saying yes to your desire, and actually making it happen and like manifesting it in the way that you did, but also navigating and knowing and understanding that it doesn't mean that just because you follow your heart and soul's desire that it's just going to all be sunshine and roses from there on in. Like we're on this continuous journey, this continuous path, this continuous growth, and having the gift of knowing how to be really, really present with that. just keeps allowing the expansion, keeps allowing, yeah, like you're saying, for you to be the mum, the queen bee of your house right now, and still support this whole enterprise. And I know you're doing a lot of research and cataloging of all the different plant species in your area, and so there's a lot going into all of these desires, and I want to honor that.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm teary now.
Yeah, me too, actually.
Yeah. Thank you so much for taking this time out to share your journey, because it's a really unique and precious one. And yet also I know a lot of other mums potentially can relate to this story.
Definitely.
And so what would you share as perhaps just a parting statement or a parting gift for anyone watching this now?
It really feels like you are worth it. Allow yourself, listen to the nudges inside.
Yeah. And start saying yes. You
are worth it. You are worth it.
You are worth it, and you are worth it, and you are worth it.
You are worth it.
And I'm worth it, and you're worth it.
Yeah.
Oh, Helene's on here. Hello, beautiful.
Hi, Helene.
Awesome. Well, thank you everyone for watching. Thank you so much, Natalie, for sharing your beingness with us and your beingness with us. And yeah, it continues to be an absolute joy to have you part of our community. And even down there, we still get to check in all the time, and you fly up for our 3-day events. And
there's so much online that I'm never missing out.
Yeah.
And
we can't wait to see you in person in February.
I know. And Christmas, I'll be up for Christmas, so I'll see you then.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you so much. Have a wonderful week, everybody. We're going to sign off here. If anyone is really curious about this BEEcon journey, with or without the bees, we can bring those in or not. Just reach out to me. My beautiful assistant, I think, is just about to pop a comment down here below where there's a little link. You can check out a little bit more about our BEEcon journey. There it is, just popped up. But more than anything, we'd love to have a chat with you. There's only so much we can put in words. It's all such a real experience, which is why we love to do these interviews. And if you're feeling like it might be something for you, we do have a 3-day intensive. That's an in-person that Natalie will hopefully be at in February. She'll be flying up to see us. Or you can, jump straight in, say yes to a whole year experience. If you'd like to have a bit of a chat about that, there's a link in the comments below, and you can book that in with me. We'd love to have a chat with you and see if it's a good fit. All right, everyone, have a beautiful day. Thank you, Natalie. We'll just say goodbye, jump on here. We will just sign off from Facebook. So much love to everyone. Take care.